What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Today, I thought I'd just draw up a quick little car here on YouTube, do a little live session. Let's get set up here. Give me 1 second. There we go. I want to get your chat up here in case anybody's joining. Gonna leave any comments in the chat. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to put them in chat there. If not, I'm just gonna kind of keep sketching and draw along. But yeah, let me know in the chat what you want to see or what you have questions on, and I'll try to get to it. Let's start a new sketch here. All right. So not quite sure what kind of car I'm gonna sketch, so just kind of gonna doodle around for a few minutes here first. Gonna use the 6B pencil like I usually like to start out with. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Um, I like to kind of keep it like zooming in, just like making sure that that pencil is nice and kind of large and rough. First thing I'll typically do is lay in a few ellipses. This just kind of comes from practice, but they're generally tapering off into perspective like that if we want to get a little bit more technical. But this is just a quick sketch, so I'm not gonna get too picky about it. I'm going to do some kind of a city car here. Just gonna rough in the outer silhouette, give myself something to play with. It's kind of a really short, kind of a deck there. It's kind of fun, liking that. The front windscreen maybe is very, very radiused. Let's see, maybe let's do something a little different over here. Just kind of roughing things in here, not being too particular. This is just kind of a rough underlay for the sketch, not the sketch itself. So just kind of goofing around until I kind of figure it out more or less. If that makes sense. Maybe this is just kind of like a nice slope there. That might be something. Might be something. Square these up a little bit. All right, let me my little dude doesn't look like too much right now, but that's okay. We are going to make it into something. One thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip this, just kind of check my perspective a little here. I'm going to use the warp tool, just kind of push and pull a few things here, get them more where I want them to be. Kind of a subtle change, but I think it will make a big difference in the end. Oops. let's flip that back. Now let's make it fill our page. Maybe let's stretch them a little bit. There we go. All right, I'm gonna take this layer and I'm gonna fade that way back. So barely there, okay? I'm gonna add a new layer over top. And so you can see now I'm much more zoomed in, or I made the sketch much bigger and I made my pencil size much smaller. So I don't have those fat lines anymore. Those fat lines are just to kind of get the feel for things. But now I can get much more precise with this much thinner pencil here. That line is looking a little bit low. And pull that up just a bit. Again, just being really loose here, using a lot of lines. Trying to find the lines, you know? Just kind of searching for it. One thing I like about the 6B pencil and using the Apple pencils, you can use the side of the Apple pencil, just like you would on a real pencil, to add a little bit of shadow and form, which is nice, especially when you're kind of seeking the form. Flatten that off just a little bit more. Doc Shast is in the chat. Are there any resources to learn product sketching? Yeah, you're watching it, man. This is it. I like to keep this kind of center line going as I sketch. Trying to always trying to understand what that center line is doing. I'm always thinking in sections. Like what's the cross section going to be through here? If you had to describe it to a CAD modeler who's on your team, or even if you were going to build it yourself, I suppose. Like what's the section in here doing? It's going to be doing something like that, right? So always thinking about that. What's the section in here doing? Is it doing this? Is it going straight from this line to this line? Or is it slightly negative in there? Is it going to be doing something like, is it going to be doing something like this? All those little decisions that you make, with almost every line that you put down, have a huge impact on how someone might interpret that sketch while making a CAD model for you. Make this back wheel a bit bigger than I had it. Again, just keeping it real sketchy right now. This is still another underlay. That's how I'm thinking about it anyway. Dash, you asked if you have any books or anything like that I recommend. Yeah, I know. I was just kidding there. Books that I recommend. I really love when I was starting out. I had this book called Design and Rendering Techniques by Dick Powell, who is one of the founders of the British design firm Seymour Powell. And I felt that book I think it's still pretty relevant. All right, so here's my second rough on this concept. I'm gonna flip them again. Yeah, I see my axis got a little bit off there. So pull that a little bit. Let's see. You can also use the liquefy tool to push some things around. So I'm gonna do that. Hit this liquefy. Get kind of a decent sized brush there. And these aren't cheats. These are different tools you can use. Now I didn't do a nice job of liquefying it. That's okay because it's just an underlay. I just want to get things in the right spots before I do a nicer sketch. Pull that back a little bit. Puff that roof up a little. All right. And let's flip it again. Position it on the page. All right, I think we're ready for a little bit of a nicer sketch now. So again, I had this really rough layer here. And you see where we were there. Now I've got this rough layer. Gonna take that down again and add a nice new layer on top. So now I'm going to be a little bit nicer and more careful with my lines. I'm going to, again, start with some ellipses in here. Did y'all notice what I did there? So this is Procreate. One of the fun things about that is you can rough in an ellipse and then just hold your pencil right where it is, boom, and it snaps to an ellipse. You hit edit shape, and get it all nice and crisp and clean. Another one back here. Isn't that nice? You all don't know how lucky you have it in the 21st century. When I was in school, man, you had to just get all that by hand. And if you didn't get it right, you just had to start over. So I'm just starting with these wheel arch forms here. For those of you just joining, just doing some easy laid back Sunday sketches. If you have any questions as I go, hit me up in the chat. I'll try to answer your questions. So you can see I'm using some heavier lines for all this stuff down here. I did a video a little while back on line weight, which you should check out. But one of the ways that I think about line weight is lines lower in the sketch, get a little bit heavier line weight, as well as anything you can kind of grab your hand around. So imagine in this wheel well, right? Like you could put your hand in there. So you want this leading edge of this wheel well to be a little bit darker. Same with the outer edges of the whole thing. But see, now I'm gonna take this size down a little bit here. Another Procreate trick, hold down when you draw a line. You can get an editable line or an arc if the arc isn't always quite as responsive as the line for some reason. There we go, arc. Just gonna make that a very slight arc. I wouldn't normally use that arc function, but I want, that's kind of an important line in the sketch, so I'm gonna make that pretty crisp and clean. Box this up just a little bit, tighten that radius up. It's a little bit round compared to what this form is doing. And you'll notice this little witness line or bone line that I'm having chase around the wheel well here. And it's just a little opportunity to show off some surface development. Gives the illusion of a little bit of thickness to the metal, even though it'd just be a sheet metal. Okay, I'm using that snapped line tool. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a sketch. At least that's the way I like to think about it. Sometimes I see sketches and they're just a little too perfect, and I want it to be loose. This is just a quick idea. I'm going to change up this front end graphic here a little bit. Lower that down. Use that arc tool again here on this line. very slight arc. But I want to have control here because that's, again, kind of a key line. I want that to feel right. Slight arc on that. Don't want it up there, don't want it down here. Like having that, just a little bit of that freedom to play with that. You know, how arcs do we want it? So then that's going to be a nice little area for light to catch here. Add this little surface development here. Tune up this little bit down here, make that just roll underneath just a nice little bit. A little definition. All right, I gotta figure out what the heck I am doing with this front end. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it. And chase this outer edge. So again, notice we could put our hands around this, right? That's the back edge. So using a little bit heavier line weight back there. Okay. Still not sure what I'm going to do up here. Get a little bit of a center line in there. And get the base of my windshield. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. It's a little bit meaty through there. Which, bringing that down a little bit in the front, that's a little too slow down like that. Yeah, picking that up a little. What I like about bringing that down is now this is gonna just kind of sweep up a little more, which I like. See, that's gonna give it just a little bit more attitude, a little something. Picking this up a little for that. I didn't like this rounding down here. And guess what? That's cool because we could change it. We can change anything we want as we go. Kind of like life. Sometimes you just got to be like, do I want to change this? Yeah, like that. Just a little something there. And then maybe this is going to actually roll like this. Notice how much I'm turning this this artboard as I go, right? Like, I know my hand can sketch like this, right? So I'm not gonna force it. Like, doing this is gonna be very hard, but coming around like this, much easier. To be aware of your natural body mechanics. Play up your strengths there. To me, I think sketching is about basically two things: critically seeing how many times did I push and pull the lines of the sketch around. So critically seeing, and then also just knowing what your body can do, knowing what lines you can reliably make. Okay. I like what's going on through here. I think I've put off this front long enough. I need to decide what we're doing here. Actually going to go to another layer in case I don't like this. Okay, this could be interesting. Maybe this is actually a nice bumper here. It's kind of funny because I feel like bumpers have gotten to be very fragile, very precious, lots going on. And maybe it should just be something you can bump, especially in a city car. So maybe this is kind of out a little, and that's coming back. And then that's going to come back here. So I got to go to my other layer and redo some of this, which is okay. Just merge these down now. Always be willing to make changes. Okay. Yeah, this two has got to go. So now this front is very short. So basically we have like our wheel well and then just this little bit of a bumper, and that is it. So this would be kind of chasing its way all up to that kind of forward spot. Yeah, something. Okay. And then let's see, where would our doors go here? Let's get the first door cut. When you're doing these door cuts, you really have to be thinking about what's going on here in this section. All right, so I have this little round here, so that's going to round it over a little. And then this is going to be hitting that ledge, so it's coming in. And then we're hitting this surface. Something like that. And then back one. So this one is going to really show off how much that window line is tapering. Right, so that's where my back one's going. And we're coming into the body here. But then you see how this is doing this, that's where that section is doing. So that's going to do something like that. And then this B pillar. So the car design, this would be the A pillar, B pillar, C pillar, D pillar. Just again, going to be hitting. That's going to be doing that in there. And then coming down and then jogging back out a little bit. Coming down, jogging, coming down. I think I gotta bring this rear one back a little bit. Okay, fix that. Where should this back one go? I think it's gonna have to end up hitting here to the wheel well. So I have to be thinking about what's this section here, right? So that's gonna be doing that. And then we're gonna be also hitting this. Yeah, I think that's a little better. JS asks if I'm taking interns. Not right now, JS, but thanks for asking. I have had interns in the past, but I don't think we'll do one this year. Though we are crazy busy. It's got very busy all of a sudden, which is awesome. I'm gonna start getting that shadow plane in there. Matt in the chat says he agrees with the bumper. Thank you. Yeah, bumpers are meant to bump stuff. Okay. I think we have the overall thing down. So now we've kind of like our overall gesture. Let's start getting into some of these details. So let's play up this bumper thing a little bit more. I'm actually going to make a second material break in here. So I'm going to push that in a little bit from this line. And actually make this a bumper to bump things. Thinking about this being some kind of a city car. Maybe that even just comes out a little bit too. So now you really have this kind of protected area. I used to live in Boston for a few years, and they always say in Boston people park by touch, and it's not a nice thing when you have a nice car and people are tapping it when they're parking. But it's the reality of living in the city. Okay, and I'm picking this up a little bit. And maybe this actually is coming up like this. So we have this kind of crisp form line here, but let's make the actual part line inset from that. Right? You don't want two parts to coming together right where the forms are coming together, because it's always going to be an odd gap. But let's say we have this hood shut line here, and that's just in a little bit from that edge. I'm not going to worry about it on the other side so much. And I'm actually just going to black this in for now. So we'll come back and add some details to that a little later. I say black, but working with this kind of a blue color today. It's kind of nice when you're not feeling too sure about things. Let's see here. I'm gonna add another layer. put this below the sketch layer, and so with this layer I'm going to use to kind of black things in. So I'm going to get an airbrush hard, set that to all the way opaque. Just block in all the dark parts. And I made this on a separate layer intentionally so that I can use it to select easily, and also so I could turn the transparency of that down. So I'm going to black out all my kind of shadow area here. Another little tip, you can just double tap your pencil and it'll toggle between whatever your brush is and your eraser. Kind of a neat little time saver. All right. And I'm going to do the same for this window area. Just went a little over there. So you just want to have like a little bit of a layer strategy when you're doing stuff like this. So, I'm doing this on a separate layer so that I can easily use it for selections. I can also put gradients for the body when I get into that behind, so that I don't have to be as neat and precise with it. All right. You see now what a difference that's making already, right? Like, we're really starting to see what's going on with this thing. Okay, so see, I turned that opacity down just a little bit so you can see my lines are still there. And I'm going to use this magic wand. Sorry, that's the Photoshop name for it. The automatic selection. I have that. I'm going to go up to another layer here. Just going to darken this down a little bit. And get a soft airbrush. So I think we have the light coming from kind of the side here. So this kind of front will be a little bit in shadow. So notice I didn't go to white there. I actually used a blue. Just gives it a little bit of a, see the difference that white makes from using that blue. I want to give it a little tonality through there. Okay. I'm going to actually go another layer. All right, and go back to that dark blue. Get a reflection through here. merge that one down. I should need to make a new layer for that one, but I need to for this. Get a nice white. Now check this out. So that white is on a different layer, right? So I have my eraser. Look at that, like a really nice reflection real quick there. So you can see now just how quickly we built that reflection up. Look at that, big difference, right? Now I'm gonna add another layer. This little thing I like to do. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do on this layer? I need to set this layer to multiply. There we go. That's much nicer, right? See the difference between normal and then to multiply? Just really darkens it down. I'm gonna add this other layer here. I wanna show just a hint of the interior, but I don't wanna go nuts. You know, you could go crazy showing the interior, but I just wanna show that there's one in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another layer, white airbrush here. Okay. And I'm gonna take this dark airbrush down here. No, that's okay. Let's go back to the white. Let's do this first. So I just have this white. Now I'm going to erase out the white. Look at that magic. Now there's the sense of an interior being there, even though we didn't even do anything. JS in the chat says your drawing teacher said not to zoom and pan around like this. Thoughts on that? I would say your drawing teacher is wrong. I don't like to say something like that, but I've never heard any teacher I've ever said is like you should be moving the things around, you should be flipping them around. Zooming way out really helps too sometimes. You can really read it. Hey, I don't want to criticize your drawing teacher. Maybe they're great. But in my experience, I've worked with a lot of professionals. I've talked to a lot of instructors. Most of them would say, flip your page around, zoom in and out. I'm going to do that same trick on the flip side here, but so I'm not just going to follow the line though, because think of, we're seeing through this glass a little bit, so it's a reflection on it, but we're seeing a little, so we're going to see this hood line, right? And that's going to become the sideline over here. So I'm going to cut this straight back. Oops, interrupted my other thing there. Gotta be careful. Layer management, I should have done it on a different layer, but that's okay. Just fade it out, just be careful. Okay, now think about where this A pillar is going to be on the other side, right? Maybe somewhere over here. Now look at that. We've given the sense of it. There's an interior there. We haven't really done too much. Like I could just take that away. What a difference that makes, right? So I'm happy with that. I'm gonna merge it down. So I have all that on one layer now. I don't like having a lot of different layers. It's kind of my thing. I'm gonna do a little bit of the same here. So again, this selection tool. I always want to pick this one because that's what the magic wand selection tool looks like in Photoshop. So again, I'm on automatic. I'm just gonna click that. See that? So now it's selected all that for me nicely. And I'm gonna come back to this other layer I was on, get my dark blue I was using, and just go with a big airbrush here. Just want to kind of darken that down. I don't really want to darken it down everywhere. Just want to darken it in these corners here. Don't have to be too precise though here. And then I'm going to come and get this chalk tool. I like to use this tool in the rubber areas. Adds a little bit of kind of a noise. See that? I guess even darker here. Because this is our ground plane, so it should be a little noisy, I feel like. Gonna get in the wheel well here. Yep, that's looking pretty good. Also just kind of loosens it up a little bit from all the perfect gradients. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit this to white just to hit the top of these tires here. Just again, a little noise, I think just gives it a little bit of life, makes it feel a little more analog, a little less digital, which I like. Now let's check out what that did. Okay, I'm feeling good about that. I'm gonna merge it down. I could see I was a little bit sloppy with my fill here, so I'm just gonna neaten this up. Oh, no, that's actually just the line. Okay, cool. All right, so I come back over to this layer. So this was my line work layer. I want to thicken some of these lines up a little. Back to my 6B pencil. A little too thick. Just want to create a nice little, this would be, in reality, there'd be some trim pieces here, things like that. So having this thicker line gives you, let's get that sign, what is that? Having this thicker line gives you kind of the illusion of having some trim here. Yeah, just liking that. There we go. Flip this around. This helpful so far? Y'all digging this? That's starting to pop there a little bit. Just gonna do a little sketchiness in here. All right, I think we are now ready to start showing off some of this form in here. So again, I've got pretty minimal layers here. So just want to show you what I have so far. I've got my line work layer. You can see turning that on and off. And then I've got this other layer that's where kind of my tires and shadow and my window reflections are. I'm going to put wheels in here later, so I'm not going to worry about that just yet. But now I want to start getting into some of those body reflections. So I'm going to do another new layer, and I'm going to put that below the line work, below that layer there. And I'm going to keep it kind of a blue tonal sketch, but go a little bit more to gray. I'm going to get an airbrush and use this soft brush here. This is like basically the biggest, fattest airbrush you can have. And I'm just going to make it pretty light but thick, and then go straight through the center here. Let's go down a little bit more, maybe a little bit darker. Ooh, you can see where I did my white highlight there. That's okay. I can actually, well, I should probably erase that out. Let's erase that down. Again, the beauty of layer management. You just kind of get used to setting your layers up this way after a while. Okay, so we have this kind of nice big wash here to start out. And darken this down a little bit more. Now I'm going to come to this soft airbrush here. And again, going to get another new layer on top of this one. I'm going to let this kind of run everywhere because I'll erase it back later. So that is a little too thick. I want to show this is kind of rolling downward a little bit here. And then I've got this nice little ledge here. So I'm going to go get dark right up to that. Same here. Going to get kind of dark right up to where these highlights will eventually be. Being nice and loose here, going kind of over the lines, just kind of getting the generalities in right now. Again, I'm gonna have the light, coming from this way, kind of up high, more or less. There'd be almost like a lights coming here, so this thing would be the greenhouse would be casting a little bit of shadow. My eraser, erase some of that back out. See how we're starting to show that already? Okay. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna merge this one down, get another layer on top that's for some of these highlights here. So lights coming down like this. See this highlight kind of carrying through here. And then this is, this little ledge here is going to be catching a bunch of light. And then the same, so I have this kind of section through here. So we're going to be catching some light here. And technically, let me get back to my dark color because this would be getting a little dark in here. The light's coming from back over this way. Ooh, I gotta be careful there. I gotta erase that. Okay, let's do this first. Get my eraser. Get right up to that nice crisp line. Look at that, just doing that one line. Come back with this white again, because again, this is, see how this section's going here? Come back with my eraser. Whoops, too big. So you get kind of a sense of what's going on there. Now erase that a little bit more. It's a little bright. Let's take that back. Okay. Get back with my hard airbrush eraser and do the same here. Keeping this loose, keeping it sketchy. Look at that. It's going to do the same here. Again, flipping it where it makes sense. Flipping that sketch, JS. Don't listen to your teacher. Listen to me. Don't listen to your teacher. Tell them to watch this video. It's a little too bright, I'd say, for that surface. I'm going to take the soft airbrush here in the eraser and just kind of dull it back a little. Okay, back to my hard airbrush. I think I messed up because I had to redo this one a little bit here, but that's okay. Let's see if I can pull it off. I love erasing this stuff back out. It's so fun. It's like magic to see the sketch kind of come to life. Making my eraser head a little smaller to get in these little nooks and crannies. It's like the perfect, it's like the perfect looseness you want to get for a sketch. It's like you don't want it to be too loose, you don't want to be too tight. I think it's really nice to have some areas that are super tight, that are kind of the most important areas. What you feel are the most important areas of the sketch. Racing back out for this wheel well here. I'm going to zoom out for in a minute here. You'll see what this is doing. Yeah, there we go. Get a soft airbrush. Let's move this back out here. All right, that's starting to look like something now. Yeah, I got rid of a little bit too much of that white down there, just to add a little bit more back. But let's do it a little more selectively this time. So just kind of in this area where it's the hottest. And do the same here. So almost a pure white in there. Like in these chill Sunday beats. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's starting to be something. I'm gonna add another. Whoop, I got a weird. What's going on up here? This is from this layer. There we go. Get rid of that. And you're gonna throw another layer on top here, just for maybe. Yeah, I do need another layer. No, I could do it on this. So the light's kind of coming down like this, right? And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of this highlight here. I'm gonna pick that up. And then I'm gonna pick up this highlight a little bit through the body side here. Well, that's a little too much. It's a little too much. back with the eraser. There we go. All right, and then I think because this would be kind of in shadow on the front, I'm actually gonna merge. I think I'm ready to merge that highlight layer down. I'm gonna add another layer in the front, get my dark color. This is all kind of in shadow basically here. Neaten that back up a little bit. This one. There we go. What are we thinking? All right. And then I think we need like maybe it's like a slight reflection through the body side here. Merge that one down. Give me another new layer. Because this is not going to be perfectly flat, so there'd be some fullness to it. But it's just kind of a reflection of whatever's going on in the ground plane. So I'll let that be kind of a little rough like that. See what that's doing? Just adding a little bit of dimension there. And then let's go behind that layer. Back to our dark color. All right. Just straighten that up a little bit. A little bit over here. A little bit of that reflection picking up. And then I feel like we need a little bit of something here. Let's merge this back down. Happy with that. A little bit more of some contrast through here. Yeah, there we go. A little of the same right through here. Yeah, cool. I merge that down. And now I can really neaten this up just by coming back through and erasing out where it shouldn't be. I'm gonna do it real loosely first here. Just get most of it gone. After I erase this out, I'm gonna then work on our headlights and wheels. I'll do wheels first. what other questions do y'all have as I'm doing this? Let me know down in the chat here. Try to get to them. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna do wheels. I think I'm also gonna make this bumper like a color. So it'd be like a colored rubber. I'm trying to think. I want to make it orange. Do I want to stick with the blue? Or maybe go with like a bright green? Like maybe a minty green. What do you think for that bumper? What color should I make it? I'm gonna think about it for a little bit. All right, let's work on wheels. So one little quick trick to work on wheels is you can set up a radial pattern. So by going into Canvas, you say drawing guide, and we're going to say edit drawing guide, and we're going to say symmetry, options, radial. So you see now we have this little guide. I'm going to put that the center of that wheel for now, and I'm going to add a new layer on the top, and in between my blue layer and my line work layer. Now, as you can see, because I did that while I was on layer 5, that layer says assisted. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to turn drawing assist on here. Okay. And get a pencil set to white. Now, this is going to be a circle, not an oval, but that's okay. Kind of edit this a little bit. Now, it looks like crazy right now because it's making it this radial pattern. Yeah. To move this layer to the top for now, I can see what we're doing. So that's going to be kind of the rim of the wheel. I'm just gonna play a little bit. See what we want to do. Really not quite sure what I want to do yet, so just kind of messing around. That's kind of interesting. Maybe something like that. All right, now I'm going to take the drawing assist off. Add another layer behind it. So I want to have some light and shadow here. I'm going to see how I can hold this down, by the way, and just grab that color picker. Yeah, Matt says he didn't know this feature existed. Kind of a cool one. Okay, so I'm going to sketch in a little bit of this. And let's get an airbrush here. Airbrush, soft airbrush, get white. And you get my dark airbrush. Just trying to show that's going back, even though we're basically drawing this as a flat circle. I'm adding some dimension to it. And say maybe there would be a little panel here. So you can get to the lug nuts. Holding that to get my nice ellipse. Okay, I'm gonna merge that together. So that's kind of our wheel shape. But now I'm gonna stretch it and make it into this ellipse form. So hit freeform. There we go. Actually gonna move this back down too. And I'm gonna duplicate this layer. Quick little trick for duplicating a layer. Take 3 fingers, swipe up, you get this little menu, hit duplicate. Bring him over there. Again, kind of get it into shape here. There we go. What a big difference that makes, right? Merge those 2 layers together. There you go. That's cool. That's starting to really work out. All right, let's see. None of you has said what color bumper to make it, so let's mess around here. I'm gonna try this mint first. I'm gonna come over here and say, yeah, I'm just gonna fill it. Airbrush, hard airbrush. Christina, I'm just about done. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this little selection tool. Again, choose the wrong one every time you do it. And gonna get this airbrush. Oh, what happened here? Selection tool turned off. That's weird. Let's turn our drawing guide off. Selection tool. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So you can see I just have this selected now. And I'm going to add a little of this chalk brush there because this is supposed to be rubber, right? So I want it to look I want it to look like paint. I want it to be, it's a little soft. Come back with a little bit of white to mix in there. See how this is a little bit more rubbery now? Okay, turn that selection off. Get my 6B pencil because remember we had this sticking out a little bit, right? So I want to show that. this color here a little bit lighter. So see, now it created a nice little lip there. Grab this dark color, go a little darker, the underside of that. Yeah, cool, cool. That's kind of fun. Okay. Other than that, I'm going to do headlights next. I think I also need to add a little bit more depth here. Just going to do it on the same layer and pick this dark color here to my soft airbrush. Yeah, okay, that's nice. I'm going to show off that. That just really pulls it around. And we'll erase that back out. Cool. Merge that down. So now I got all that on one layer. We'll merge my wheels down here too. Yeah, why not? Okay, now let's do our headlights. Where did I put those colors? Those colors are there. Get rid of those. Okay, so to do headlights, I just want to hint at them. I'm going to use this brush called the light brush. Again, new layer on top here. Set it to white. Let's see, it is in luminescence light brush. Actually, I'm going to put it down a little bit into blue. All right, check this out. Come back pure white here, a little bit smaller. Oh, why is this not doing that? That's weird. Oh, because this layer's on top. That's why. I was like, that is not working how I thought it was going to be. Okay, now we got too much of it. Too much of a good thing. All right, we'll start over. Get back to that blue color. Sorry, let's do it a little different anyway. Yeah, that's kind of be cool. And I'll say there's maybe a little turn signal in here. Cool. Didn't have to do too much. Just really brings it forward a little bit. And I think we're pretty much ready for the last layer here, which is just going to be a few highlights. So I'm gonna merge that down. Now let's leave that there. I'll just make this my highlight layer. So get back to my 6B pencil here. I just want to get, that's not kind of a straight line. Just want to get a few quick highlights in to kind of reinforce some of these shapes. Got the edge of the hood here. Have this. Oh, this line wouldn't actually be there, so I'm just gonna draw up the top of that. Nice. Clean that up. Little top edge to this headlight lens. Ooh, too close there. And we have a bottom, or the top edge of this front fascia. It would be cool, I think, to add to this just a little reflection through here. And add another layer. Airbrush, all the little details at the end. Make it just kind of sing. Jay has asked what brush that was for the headlights. It was it's called the light brush. It's in the luminescence luminescence brush palette. That just makes it feel a little bit more like there's a lens over top of that. Doing the same thing here. If you like these videos, please share them. It's be huge. I think it's, you know, not I don't get paid for these or anything, so the only way I know if you like them is if they get a lot of views, and if you like it, would really appreciate the share. So all this little kind of like sweetening, I call it, goes a long way. This is where most people kind of cop out and don't spend time, but this is kind of what really what makes the sketch, I think, in my opinion. My friend Jeff Smith likes to say you should spend as much time on this layer where you're just basically using a white pencil as you do with your main pencil, your black pencil. I think it's kind of a good way to think about it. Kind of showing off this cross section here. Hit a little bit of that reflection. Some of these things kind of loosen the sketch up a little bit too, which is nice, at least in my opinion. All right, I think we are pretty much done. Maybe just add a couple little vent thing here, maybe. Quick little detail. A little something going on there. And probably should have some kind of a hint of a logo. I don't know. Didn't really think about what brand this would be, but it's okay. We can just drop a little logo in there. Yeah, all right. I think we are pretty much done. Thank you all for joining me today. Fun to be sketching with you on a Sunday. I say I'm done, but it's like when I say I'm done, I'm always like 5 minutes away from being done. Look at that, just adding that little bit of a highlight at the base of the windshield. I think we need a little bit in here too. This is like one of the key areas right here of the sketch. Gotta make sure it pops. All right, now I think we're done. Other than gotta add the signature real quick. All right, now it's official. Get a little bit closer to the camera here. Oh. All right. Thanks, everybody. Fun drawing with you today. I'll see you next time.